Welcome back to You Decide, Campground Shakedown. In these short videos, we are going to explore some of the campgrounds that we have been to, particularly the Thousand Trails, which we're members of. During these videos, we want to share with you 8 categories that we feel are important, important to us, hopefully important to you. But if you feel that there are some other categories that you would like to hear about, please let us know.
And please stay to the end because we'll provide some pro tips about the campground and about the particular area that the campground is in. The campground that we're reviewing today is Thousand Trails Hidden Cove RV Resort in Arley, Alabama. So.
Yep, there's about 150 sites. We were in site 33. The area that we went to was a newer area.
Called the Sea Loop.
The Sea Loop.
All brand new sites, brand new bathrooms, everything new. And for the 4 nights that we were there,
the cost was $0
because of our Thousand Trails membership. So that's always cool. So the first category is staff friendliness and ease of check-in. I did most of this online through Thousand Trails. Didn't really have a lot of contact with the staff at all. The lady at the booth when we got there was super nice. She just said, here's your packet, go find your campsite. And that was about all the interaction that we had. It was super easy. After we got our packet, we were able to go and choose our site. And again, Ryan said we chose the new Sea Loop, and there was only a handful of other campers there. So it was great.
Yeah, it wasn't very busy, but it was Christmas, so that probably had something to do with it.
Yes, definitely.
Number 2 is general vibe. And the general vibe of this place was pretty good. Now, it was Christmas, so there wasn't a lot of people around. And it was pretty cold, so pretty much people kept to themselves. A couple sunny days, we were able to walk around and do some things. But it does have a really good vibe to it.
Probably
I
in
can
the
imagine,
summer.
Yeah,
In the summer it's
rocking.
probably really hopping.
Yeah.
But it was super quiet when we were there.
Yeah.
Number 3 is amenities. This campground had some amenities, not as many as some other parks. They did have a pool, which looked really nice, but it was closed because of COVID and because it was cold. December and it was really cold. They had a disc golf course. They had a mini golf, which looked to be defunct. Didn't have any carpet on it, and a pretty decent looking playground. A little bit better than some of the other campgrounds that we've seen. They also had a really huge sort of lodge, clubhouse type thing, which I meant to go in and look. And the day that I went to look, it was Christmas Day, and they were closed. But I did look in the windows, and there was foosball and pool, I think, and a big TV and some other things in there. So it looked like a really nice clubhouse. And they have a big fire pit out there. If, when it's not COVID, I'm sure they had some great, functions out by the fire. But
yeah, the other thing they have there is they do have a boat ramp. The boat ramp is for park members or people that are staying there only, so it's not a public ramp, which is good because you don't have the flow of traffic coming in and out. And they also had really a nice floating dock system out there too.
Yeah, and on the other side of the park, there was a pavilion, like a picnic pavilion, right on the lake. It was really beautiful. We just wish it would have been a little bit warmer for us, but the lake is outstanding.
Number 4 is hookups. We did have full 50 amp. We had water, sewer. The only trouble that we had, which was my fault, was that our sewer line had frozen just because it was really cold. We made the good judgment of disconnecting the water from the rig, but did not disconnect the sewer.
Number 5 is overall cleanliness of the park. This park was super clean, especially in the area that we were in because it was so brand new. There's a little older section where some of the seasonals are. It was also very clean. It just has a different look on the other side because it wasn't so new. But it was exceptionally clean. I went in the brand new bathroom and it was like, wow, it was the best bathroom I've ever seen at a campground. So it was really nice.
Number 6 is condition and placement of the sites themselves. This is important just from the standpoint of pulling in or backing in. We had a pull through, so it was very easy to get through there. There was what Chris calls aggressive gravel, which was just kind of larger gravel that wasn't very comfortable probably for the dog paws. But nonetheless, they're very well placed. They're very well spaced. So we really
especially in the new area. Again, we don't really know as much in the older, more seasonal area, but a lot of those rigs don't move anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But ample room to get a big rig in.
Yep. Number 7 is connectivity to the outside world on wireless. So we have Verizon, and it worked exceptionally well there for us, both from our phones and from our Wi-Fi within the rig. We did upgrade. They had a $6 per day charge to upgrade to their Wi-Fi system. We did that just simply for streaming. It did help a little bit to get off of our Wi-Fi, have a little bit more connectivity with regards to that.
Number 8 is the location of this campground. Now, for this campground, it's kind of a plus and a minus. This campground resides on Lewis Smith Lake, and it's just an incredible lake, and I'm sure that's why most people go to that campground and also why they would have their seasonals there. On the minus side, it's out in the middle of nowhere. There really was no big towns around. What was the closest one? Birmingham, maybe? Or
well,
Birmingham?
Cities. Birmingham would be the closest. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was not much around there. So, but we'll talk a little bit more about the lake in the pro tips coming up. So, pro tip number 1 is about the roads going into the park. They become a little bit narrow and a little bit rutted the closer to the park that you get, but don't let that worry you. You can definitely get a big rig in there. We actually saw a big rig pulled over on the side of the road. I think maybe they were wondering if they could get in there.
Yeah, it's only about a 2-mile stretch from the campground, from the campground to where that happens. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, from the main town area, but it's not bad at all. The other thing is and I had read this beforehand, that there's a lot of dogs sort of running around, running in the street, running in the campground. There is a leash law in Alabama, but we almost came up and hit this group of 5 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They looked to be, they weren't strays. They were well fed, but they were just running around, and there were some dogs running around in the campground too. So just be aware that, have your leash handy for your dog when you're there.
Yep. Pro tip number 2. The town that we were near is Arley, Alabama. It was a pretty small town. It did have the amenities that we needed. It had a little general store, had Dollar General.
Very basic.
Yeah,
very basic. No produce whatsoever.
But it did have diesel, which was important. But the gas station that had diesel in Arley didn't look like a gas station. It looked more like just a workshop. But it did have a diesel out there, so we were able to get it there. But just down the road, about 8 miles, is the town of Curry, and that certainly had a lot more amenities, Ace Hardware and a couple of other grocery stores that we could go to there. Pro tip number 3 is the fact that we were on and visited Lewis Smith Lake. Lewis Smith Lake is the 3rd cleanest, I think, in the country.
Mm-hmm. That's what I read.
500 miles of shoreline, absolutely gorgeous. It was created by the Lewis Smith Dam, so it backed up the waters to make the rivers. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. We did go down to the dam. We went to the boat launch above the dam. It's just really a pretty place.
Yeah,
so
tons
definitely
and
something
tons.
to look for.
Yeah, tons and tons of boat parking spaces. So I'm sure it's really busy in the summertime.
Yep.
But there was not a single soul there on the day that we went. It was like the day after Christmas, maybe.
It's cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so what would we decide? Would we go to this campground again?
We would if we were in the area. I don't know that we would go out of our way to come to it, just because it is kind of off the beaten path, and we're trying to be a little bit more direct with some of our areas. But certainly it is well worth the visit.
Yeah, I loved the campground.
Yeah.
It's just the location for me wasn't the best. But the campground was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So no problems there.
Right.
So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next You Decide. We're going to review beautiful Lake Conroe 1,000 Trails.
So long.
So the name of this campground is Hidden Cove RV. Hold on. So the campground that we're reviewing today is Hidden Trails.
1,000 Trails.
1,000 Trails.
Hidden Cove.
So the first category is staff helpfulness.
Number 2.
Hold on 1 second. I'm looking down.
Pro tip.
Not pro tip.
No. However, the
Are you looking at John
I
Lennon?
am.
Because I wasn't.
You're not.
I know.
I know.
Okay. That it's on Lewis Smith Lake.
Lake Lewis.